Why didn't God make everyone good? Why are there good people and bad people? And then, in the end, the bad people go to hell.
If there is a test that is so difficult that all of the students fail, then the test is clearly flawed. Likewise, if a test happens to be so easy that all of the students pass with excellent grades, then such a test is also flawed. An exam must be balanced, and this life of ours is also an exam. God said about himself in the Quran, "Who created death and life to test you." Any test or exam has a fixed starting time and a fixed ending time. For example, the English language exam starts at 8 a.m. and ends at 10 a.m. We must submit our exam papers at the end of the exam. So when God said that he created life and death to test us, he delineated the starting point and the ending point of that particular test. Not all people are good or righteous, because this world of ours contains both good and evil, and humans are free to choose whether or not to follow God's commands. Some people will choose the path of good and others will choose the path of evil. The problem lies in people not understanding their duties and the true purpose of their existence. Why are we here? The Quran says, "Your Lord told the angels, I am appointing a trustee on earth. Therefore, my job here is to be God's trustee, God's representative on earth." God gave this representative certain tools and he entrusted him with certain tasks. His first and foremost task, according to Muslim scholars, is to guide people to worship God voluntarily. In other words, worshipping him by choice without coercion. This means informing people about God's existence and telling them about his religion, inviting them to worship him. It involves implementing God's rules and upholding justice and preventing oppression. It also includes development of the planet that we live on, not spoiling or destroying it. God says about himself in the Quran, "It was he who brought you into being from the earth and commanded you to develop it." But what are the tools that God has given to people that they may be able to perform their duty as God's representatives on earth? The first thing he gave them is an intelligent mind, and we will discuss that in many sessions to come. The next thing he gave us were his rules, and we will also discuss that later. The third thing God gave us is freedom. Today, we want to talk about freedom. God pointed out the path of good and the path of evil to man and left him to choose freely. Why would anyone object to the idea of God giving us freedom? If you object to the notion of God giving us the ability to choose freely between good and evil, then that means that you object to the notion of freedom. It means you are objecting to the fact that God doesn't coerce us. It is simply not among the characteristics of God to coerce people into anything, be it good or evil. If you object to the freedom given to man by God, then you do not understand the true nature of man. Man is a creature that is very different from any other creature. He is unlike animals, and he is unlike the angels. Man is a VIP creature. God granted him knowledge that he didn't even grant to the angels. The Quran says, God taught Adam the names of all the things. Then he showed them to the angels and said, "Tell me the names of these if you are truthful." They said, "May you be glorified. We have knowledge only of what you have taught us. You are the all-knowing and the all-wise." In addition to God giving Adam knowledge that even the angels didn't have, he gave man an intelligent mind, far superior to that which he gave to animals. And this is the reason that man was entrusted with the burden and responsibility we spoke about and given the ability to choose. God says in the Quran, "Those who believe and do good deeds are the best of creation." This means that a human being who believes in God and does good deeds is the greatest of all creatures. Scholars have even said that such a person is superior to most of the angels, because although they do good deeds, They do not do so out of choice as we do. God created them so. They are not capable of disobeying God's commands, so it makes sense that all their life would be filled with praise for God and worship of Him, and that it would be devoid of sin. But just like man can through his deeds be superior to the angels, man can also be inferior to animals. God addresses the Prophet in the Quran saying regarding the man who has taken his own whims or desires as a god, "Are you to be his guardian? Do you think that most of them hear or understand? They are just like cattle? No. They are further astray than cattle." In other words, they are inferior to animals. And why is that so? Because an animal does not have an intelligent mind. So it is natural for it to be guided by its desires and basic needs. But you, as a human being, have an intelligent mind and should not therefore allow yourself to be led by your whims and desires. Man is the representative of God on earth. He is the builder of civilizations. Have you ever heard of a troop of monkeys driving humans away from a certain area and clearing forests in order to build a civilization? It is man who creates civilizations because God made him his representative on earth. If you prefer to be forced by God to be good and to have no free choice in the matter, then that means that you would prefer to be like an animal with no free will. Someone may argue that being forced to do good wouldn't make us more like animals. But I tell you that there are indeed animals that are destined only to do good. Take the dolphin, for example. It is man's friend. It does absolutely nothing bad or harmful. The donkey, likewise, is a perfect example of goodness. No animal has been more helpful to man than the donkey. It is destined entirely to do useful tasks. Did you ever see a donkey preying on a human being, or even preying on another animal for that matter? The donkey is a meek and docile animal that is obedient and helpful to us. So how can we object to the fact that God gave us absolute freedom, that He gave us freedom of choice, unlike donkeys? How can someone ask that we be more like domestic animals? To such a person I say, see how God holds you in high esteem, yet you fail to hold yourself in such high regard? Use your mind and thank God for blessing you with the gift of freedom, and do your duty. You are the guardian of this earth, the representative of God on this earth. One more thing to point out is that the existence of evil or bad is necessary for the presence of good to exist. We cannot comprehend nor appreciate what it means for someone or something to be good unless we have something to compare good to. If everyone was good, then goodness would instantly lose its meaning. Did you ever hear of good stars and bad stars? Never. Why? Because all stars follow the laws of physics and of God. Only if stars had free will, some of them would choose not to follow the laws of God, and they would be labeled as bad stars. And only then would there consequently be such a thing as good stars too by comparison. Without bad, there is no good. Without falsehood, people will never see the truth.